Guys, time out. You're saying that you were attacked by pirates after you found the coffin of Sir Francis Drake. Is that right?
Yeah,
that's
pretty much
right.
it, yeah.
Bullshit. Well, wait, what'd Francis Drake look like? Was it gross?
Actually, he wasn't in there. Yeah, just his journal with a map to El Dorado.
The City of Gold?
That's the legend. Turns out it was just a statue. A cursed statue.
No way, seriously?
Yeah, seriously. But I'll get back to that later. See, the map led us to the middle of the Amazon jungle.
Uncharted 5 is one of those games that people keep whispering about. You hear rumors every now and then, fan wish lists, fake leaks. But let's be real, it's probably not happening. Naughty Dog gave Nathan Drake a clean exit already. His story wrapped up in 4. And honestly, it was the perfect send-off. So no, I'm not saying this game is confirmed. Calm down, relax. This is just a what-if video. A prediction game. But let's be real. If Uncharted 5 did happen, Cassie Drake, Nathan's daughter, would be the lead. And if Neil Druckmann's running the show, well, we already know where that's gonna go. At the end of Uncharted 4, we meet Cassie Drake, Nathan and Elena's daughter. She looks about 13 to 15 years old in that epilogue, which means if a sequel happened, you can probably assume a time skip. She'd likely be in her late teens or early 20s, the perfect new protagonist age. That whole epilogue wasn't just about family life. It was a setup. Cassie sneaks into her dad's old things. That curiosity is key. She's bold, nosy, adventurous, just like Nathan. She's not afraid to cross the lines. And that curiosity just naturally pulls towards her danger. Finds the artifacts, the pictures, the treasures, basically his entire hidden life. Then Nathan and Elena walk in. She's caught. And Nathan, for the first time, decides to tell her everything. The camera lingers, the music swells, and it ends right there as the legacy of the story begins. So what does that tell us? Cassie now knows everything about who her dad was. She knows his history, his adventures, his dangers, and his glory. And here's the bigger point. Uncharted has always been about legacy. Nathan chasing Sir Francis Drake's name, Sam pulling Nathan back into the treasure hunting life. Obsession and inherence has always been the backbone of this series. But if there's a next game, Cassie is going to be the obvious heir to the franchise. She wants to follow in her dad's footsteps, and Naughty Dog clearly left that door wide open. But here's the thing, Cassie's setup in Uncharted 4 could go in 2 very different directions. In the right hand, she's the natural heir to Nathan's legacy, curious, adventurous, and driven by family history. But if Neil Druckmann's in charge, we already know his pattern. Druckmann has a track record of introducing next generation characters who feel less like organic additions and more like ideological replacements. Abby, the clearest example of a forced lead. She wasn't just another character. She was poisoned as the moral centerpiece of her story. Most players didn't even connect with her. Lev, instead of being integrated naturally into one of the survivalist tones of the story, Lev was written as a vehicle for identity politics, trans storyline, religious cult oppression, etc., which made the character feel more like a message than a person. Lev is an interesting case though. As a character, Lev doesn't shove their identity in your face. They don't go on long speeches about being trans, they don't try to educate the player, quote unquote. It's not presented in their own words as the main thing about them. But here's the issue. While Lev doesn't make it the priority, the story absolutely does. The Seraphites calling Lev Lily over and over.
The apostate!
Shit. It's Lily! You should have stayed away, Lily!
Did you hear what Lily did?
I did. Shameful. But not all that surprising.
Your sister, though. I was shocked.
Their poor mother.
She should have sensed that something was off, though.
The cult storyline revolving entirely around rejection of being transgender, Abby immediately recognizing and validating Lev's identity. All of that makes it clear where Druckmann's focus is. Notice how the Seraphites aren't portrayed as complex, they're essentially reduced to the bigoted religious villains, whose only purpose is to persecute Lev. Instead of exploring their belief system, culture, or conflicts, The writing flattens them into a caricature, so Lev's trans identity stands out even more. So Lev ends up less remembered for their skills, personality, or arc, and more as a symbol of representation. That's the pattern. The character isn't the problem, but the way they're used makes the agenda louder than the writing. And that's the exact worry with Cassie. Even if she's written to be curious, adventurous, and likable, Druckmann can still force her into being a statement character first and an organic character second. Cassie will most likely represent the new era, the progressive, morally aware, modern thinking voice. Probably be written as someone who subtly critiques or outgrows her dad's worldview. Nathan Drake, adventurous, sarcastic, flawed but human, could also easily be reimagined as the old way of thinking, quote unquote. And under Druckmann, the old way of thinking personality suddenly becomes problematic. It's not even about Drake himself, it's about how the culture treats a guy who's not bitter and who's not playing victim. That mindset gets mocked now. You start to notice characters like Drake get rewritten to fit a message. Usually something about sensitivity, guilt, or identity awareness. If Cassie's written through that lens, she wouldn't feel like a real character. She'd just be there to correct Drake, quote unquote. Like the franchise itself is trying to evolve from the past, what made it fun in the first place. And when that happens, the story stops being about adventure or discovery. It becomes a lecture about growth, guilt, and how times have changed. Instead of carrying on Drake's legacy, Cassie would end up rewriting it, turning Uncharted from a series about treasure hunting to a series about moral lessons. If Neil Druckmann had control over Uncharted 5, Cassie Drake wouldn't just be a new character, she'd be a new direction. The original series was built on adventure, legacy, and brotherhood. It was cinematic, funny, optimistic, even when things got dark. Drake's story wasn't just about treasure hunting, it was about exploring the world, testing yourself, and finding purpose through chaos. But under Druckmann, Cassie would become the perfect tool to rewrite those ideas. Adventure would become introspection. Cassie wouldn't be chasing excitement for the thrill of discovery, she'd be questioning it. Instead of asking what's out there to find, the focus would shift to what does this say about us? This shows where Druckmann's creative direction is heading, away from adventure and story-driven action, more towards artsy, vague experiences. He's mentioned he's interested in games that tell stories in unconventional ways, less straightforward narrative, more thematic exploration. The joy of adventure turns into moral reflection, like every discovery has to come with guilt attached. Legacy would turn into guilt. In Uncharted, legacy meant continuing the journey, honoring what came before. Druckmann's writing reframes legacy as something to be interrogated. Cassie wouldn't look up to her dad's story, she'd analyze it, maybe even rescind it. His adventures wouldn't be seen as courageous, they'd be treated like old world behavior that needs to be corrected. And Druckmann himself admits this mindset clearly. Some of my favorite stories have always reflected the reality that I live in. I tend to not worry too much about fear of an audience reaction, prioritizing is this what the story needs? In other words, it's not about preserving what made the story timeless, it's about reshaping it to fit the modern self-reflection. Brotherhood were turned into isolation. Nathan Drake's world was built on loyalty and connection. Sully, Elena, Sam. Druckmann thrives on fractured relationships, resentment, mistrust, and emotional distance. Cassie would most likely represent independence, even rebellion. Someone who distances herself from her family to find her own truth, quote unquote. The warmth that defined Uncharted would fade into tension. Optimism and humor turn into realism and trauma. Uncharted's charm came from its wit and sense of fun. Druckmann's tone leans darker, heavier, and constantly self-aware. So instead of celebrating adventure, Uncharted 5 would just critique it. Cassie's story would probably focus on the cost of adventure and not the joy of it. History would turn ideological. Classic Uncharted treated history as mystery, something to explore, learn from, and get lost in. Under Druckmann, history becomes a moral lens. It's not about discovery anymore, it's about judgment. Cassie wouldn't make history like Nate. She reinterpreted it to fit a modern moral narrative. And Druckmann's own words confirm it. He said that bringing in diverse perspectives makes the story richer and more layered. But in practice, that can sometimes feel like the message matters more than the story. And that's the real problem. Cassie wouldn't just continue Nathan's legacy, she'd be written to correct it. That's not growth, that's replacement. At its heart, Uncharted was never just about treasure. It was about adventure that came with chasing it. It balanced chaos and charm, danger and humor without ever needing to apologize for being fun. It reminded players that curiosity, loyal, and courage were worth something, that even the most reckless journey could reveal something human. If Druckmann took over, that spirit would be replaced by reflection, guilt, and ideology. The world would shrink from discovery, from self-examination, from let's see what's out there to let's talk about what we've done wrong. While that may make for a different kind of story, it wouldn't be Uncharted. The franchise already said what it needed to say about legacy, about brotherhood, about finding purpose in chaos. And maybe that's just the point. Not every series has to evolve. Some stories can just end well and stay great for what they were. So if we ever do get Uncharted 5, I hope it remembers that. Because adventure doesn't need to be rewritten. It just needs to be lived.